9 teams have battled it out over the last 2 years in the toughest format of the game. But now, only 2 remain. Will Australia add to their already huge haul of ICC trophies, or will India be second time lucky at the World Test Championship final? This is the ultimate test. Ahead of the World Test Championship final, we are building up to this ultimate test with Matthew Hayden and Dinesh Karthik. Gentlemen, welcome. First up, Hiros, I want to ask you, you were part of one of the greatest test teams ever. Would you have liked to play a WTC in your time?
I think the game itself was desperate test match cricket. Just as an overall package, was desperate for context. And the WTC allows test match cricket to breathe in a really unique space. So to that end, of course.
A chance to be the world's best in the longest format of the game. We asked Pat Cummins and Rohit Sharma what it would mean to win this WTC final. Let's hear into what they had to say. Pat, how satisfying is it to be playing a World Test Championship final, given that it requires doing well for over 2 years in Test cricket?
Yeah, really satisfying. You've got to win lots of games, not only at home but away. So yeah, the team's been excellent over the last 2 years. I think we deserve to be here in the final, and yeah, it's all to play for. It's exciting.
What would you say are India's biggest strengths in this competition?
Overall, I mean, if you look at the consistent cricket that we played, we displayed good cricket all round. So I thought we've bowled well. We've batted well, and you know, at the same time we've fielded really well, because it's a very tough tournament. You've got to play consistent cricket throughout a couple of years to get here. So you need all the departments to do well for you.
It's the first WTC final that was played in Southampton. You were there. What would you say would be some of the learnings for India from that game coming into this final?
First thing, I think, considering what the weather was, what the conditions were, they probably, when they look back at it, weren't too happy with the 11 they selected. I think they went in with 1 too many spinners in that game. Now, looking at these conditions, even though the weather is going to be really sunny, consistently good, when you look at the pitch, you get the feeling that it'll probably aid the fast bowlers a little more. So I have a feeling they're going to go in with a combination that suits the fast bowlers a little more, play 1 extra. So from 3, I think they'll end up playing 4 fast bowlers. So that'll be the major thing.
Absolutely, and fans are hoping for clear days. It still is early June, the start of summer. Given these conditions, what is that one department you'd say Australia have an advantage with?
In a big game, it's runs on the board. And Steve Smith is a maestro. You know, when you think about the modern day greats, Smith, Kohli, Babar Azam, these are once in a lifetime and once in generation cricketers. So obviously in combination with Labuschagne, I think those two are really critical to the efforts of the Australian batting lineup. And then Pat Cummins is the captain as well, and fast bowler.
And when you talk about this Indian side, there are players there who are coming in at the back of runs to their name recently. What would you pick out as one bright spot for India in this final?
Definitely the 100 that Virat Kohli got in Ahmedabad in the last test. That's a big plus. And the fact that he's been batting well throughout IPL. In the second phase of IPL, he really upped his game and showed the world why he was so good. Now, Virat Kohli's form is integral to India having a good test match. But let's not forget, there's one more man there who's been toiling away quietly, playing for Sussex, captaining them, taking them to the second spot in the table for Sussex. So that man, Cheteshwar Pujara, Australia have seen way too much of him in the last 2 series that they played in Australia. So that's the one person that they'll be looking to get out early, because if that guy is back in the pavilion, Australia will breathe easy. Yes, Virat Kohli will be there, but Pujara has the ability in these sunny conditions, which is what they're saying it's going to be through the next 5 days, to bat long periods of time.
The amount of experience we have playing in England, not just in the last WTC finals, but even against the England team, playing in English conditions, playing with the Duke's ball. Most of the guys have played enough cricket here. Some of them have also played county cricket. So you need that experience.
So you spoke about Pat Cummins and Steve Smith. Who's that one impact player for you from this Australian side in this final?
Impact player has to be Davey Warner. He's had a tumultuous ride over the last few years, just getting the 1-200, but he's got a strike rate of 80, Sanjana, in Test match cricket. I mean, no one in the history of Australian cricket has got that as an opening batsman. So literally he's gone to a new level. And I think he'll be overly aggressive in this series as well. this one game, but then looking ahead to the Ashes. In this game, he'll be looking to be really confident. He hasn't had, that IPL season of note like a Shubman Gill, etc. But I don't think that matters because Davey's an instinct player. And if he starts going hard at the top of the order, it'll leave Indian bowling attack vulnerable as well.
Hidos, you spoke about Warner. What was your strike rate, Hidos?
70.
Whoa.
10 more than
From
me.
one legend to another.
10 more.
That's not much.
That's big, man, I reckon, in Test cricket. Yeah.
We're almost on the brink of this final. Care to stick your neck out and give us a prediction before we get into things?
Well, we should, otherwise it's going to be a moot point. But I'm going to go Australia, and DK, I'm sure you're going to go India. But for me, Australia, it hasn't got a great record here. I think it's got about a 40% record, and India's got less than that. I think it's a 30% record here at the Oval. So, both have had their fair share of woes at this venue. But to me, looking at the wicket, it's a green wicket. I think we've got a great fast bowling attack, and that's a strength to Australia. We've got an extremely experienced player in Nathan Lyon as well that can hold ends, be both a positive and attacking player, but also a defensive spinner. And then, we really have got an outstanding world-class batting unit. That a little bit like Pujara as well has had now some experience here in England. And it counts here. It's always hard to score runs early up in England. So just to have those few runs under the belt is a good sign for Australia.
DK?
My heart says India. I genuinely want a Virat Kohli, a Cheteshwar Pujara, a Rahane and a Rohit Sharma leading the pack to get that ICC trophy. But my mind says Australia because the conditions and the bowling attack that they have is very potent. And these conditions, they're going to be a handful to deal with.
That's the last word. That is all the build-up from our end. Thank you so much for joining us, gentlemen. It is going to be the two best teams in the world taking on each other in this World Test Championship final. You can head to the worldtestchampionship.com in order to find out previews, updates, interviews, and so much more. And we'll see you again very soon.